Welcome to the 33rd anniversary of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future and the 28th anniversary of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Illustrators of the Future. For our thousands of internet viewers worldwide, we have gathered this evening at the historic Ebell Theatre in Los Angeles, California.
Writers of the Future is a contest geared toward amateur writers and illustrators. Those who enter the contest remain unknown to the judges throughout the judging process, so there can be no potential of bias, and raw talent alone is the sole criteria considered. This approach has attracted thousands of people every year from all walks of life and all corners of the globe.
I've always enjoyed writing. And for many, many years, I never really had the courage to submit a story anywhere. It was after I was put into a medical hold unit in the Army that I started to begin writing a little more. My wife, she started reading my work and said, "This is really good. You need to submit this. This should be published." So I ended up finally, after years of doing this for fun, taking my very, very first chance at submitting a story somewhere, and it was promptly rejected.
I met a couple of people who told me about the Writers of the Future, which was terrific because there was a quarterly deadline, and that really forces you to finish things, and that's when my writing really took off.
Writers of the Future is actually divided into two contests: Writers of the Future and Illustrators of the Future. entrants from around the world send their stories and illustrations to Los Angeles, where the judges narrow it down to 6 winners, 3 writers and 3 illustrators. It's a quarterly contest, so every 3 months this process repeats. So at the end of the year, there are 24 quarterly winners, who are then published in the Writers of the Future anthology.
Every quarter that I was eligible from when I first learned about it, I have entered.
I'd enter about once a year for a little while, and then I started entering more often.
And then I got an honorable mention, an honorable mention, an honorable mention.
So I went through this for 4 quarters.
I think this was my 7th submission. I'd had 2 honorable mentions before.
No one in contest history had been a finalist more times and not won a prize than me.
1 semifinalist.
And finally, a finalist that turned into a first place.
Writers of the Future takes those new people that no one has heard of yet, and with a trumpet calls everybody's attention to them, and then puts a spotlight on them and says, these, look at these.
If you look back at the era when I was submitting, Pat Rothfuss and I, we are some of the biggest fantasy writers of our generation to break in, and we were both submitting to Writers of the Future.
Nobody ever does this. Nobody ever takes a chance on newbies like us because there's a perception that there's no basis for us being successful. To set up something like this, you'd have to have just a huge heart.
People, when they succeed, they rarely hold the door open for the person behind them. And I think that's true, but I think with this contest, L. Ron Hubbard slid through the door of success and turned around and said, okay, and then he just blew the door wide open for us.
I love being able to look back and see us as a chain, carrying us back to L. Ron Hubbard that links us back to the golden age of science fiction. And being part of that continuity is amazing, and I'm really grateful that I'm part of that, and I'm really grateful that, because of his foresight, that this contest is going to continue.
L. Ron Hubbard traveled 250,000 miles by land and sea in the Far East and into areas that were remote to the Western experience. He was that kind of man and lived an adventurous, a kind of Renaissance life. He was a pilot. He was a master mariner licensed to sail vessels in any ocean. He was a skilled musician. He was a professional photographer of tremendous accomplishment. And those are the professions that found their greatest prominence in his fiction. In 1934, he began to publish short fiction and then novels in a range of the pulp fiction magazines of the time in genres that extended from adventure and action and mystery and detective and western and suspense and even some romance.
L. Ron Hubbard realized that new voices were getting utterly and completely lost in this razor-sharp, as he called it, competition to be heard through a very dwindling number of channels. And so he set out to endow and create the Writers of the Future contest.
The contest offered a whole new venue for fresh voices, people who were like Olympic athletes, so the amateur, but they're really good.
Thousands of published short stories and hundreds of published novels that have come out of the winners of this contest. Voices that might have been so discouraged we might never have actually heard from.
People who have started out with this contest include Eric Flint and Karen Joy Fowler and Dan Simmons, and they have all gone on to really, really good careers. And if you want to see where the stars of tomorrow are, this is a good place to start looking.
If you look at the names in those first few books and every book subsequent to there, you see those names being popular at some point since then.
And we've seen such a tremendous impact of that among an entire new generation of writers that have gone up, and I'm very proud to see our students become some of the best known writers in the field.
Of the 400 winning writers in the first 3 decades of the contest, over 100 have gone on to professionally publish novels or multiple stories in major magazines. Writers of the Future winners have received 43 nominations and 7 wins for the Nebula Award, 25 nominations and 3 wins for the Hugo Award, 9 nominations and 2 wins for the Philip K. Dick Award, and numerous nominations and wins for the John W. Campbell Award, the Locus Award, the Newbery, the National Book Award, the Pushcart Prize, and countless other recognitions and accolades. Many books by Writers of the Future winners have appeared on the New York Times bestseller list, even reaching the #1 spot. Not to mention the books that have filled the international bestseller lists and risen to #1 in the London Sunday Times. And all this in addition to the Writers of the Future anthology itself becoming a national bestseller for the last 2 years.
Welcome our Mistress of Ceremonies, Executive Director of Author Services, representing the literary works of L. Ron Hubbard, Miss Gunhild Jacobs.
Thank you very much. Tonight we celebrate 33 years of discovering and nurturing new creative talent in the fields of science fiction and fantasy. So, on behalf of everyone at Author Services and Galaxy Press, the publisher of the annual anthology, let me welcome each and every one of you to a night of creativity and inspiration. The principle of guidance is the very foundation upon which the contests are built, uniting L. Ron Hubbard's vision with the ever-caring teachings of our blue ribbon panel of judges. To our judges, your generosity is outstanding and your devotion to nurturing new talent is commendable. You have our love and gratitude. The Writers of the Future judges, past and present, are Kevin J. Anderson, Dr. Doug Beeson, Dr. Gregory Benford, Algis Budries, Orson Scott Card, Hal Clement, David Farland, Eric Flint, Brian Herbert, Frank Herbert, Nina Kiriki Hoffman, Dr. Yoji Kondo, Jody Lynn Nye, Nancy Kress, Ann McCaffrey, Todd McCaffrey, Rebecca Mesta, C.L. Moore, Larry Niven, Andrew Norton, Frederick Pohl, Dr. Jerry Purnell, Tim Powers, Mike Resnick, Christine Catherine Rush, Brandon Sanderson, Dr. Robert J. Sawyer, Charles Sheffield, Robert Silverberg, Dean Wesley Smith, Theodore Sturgeon, Katie Wentworth, Dr. Sean Williams, Jack Williamson, and Roger Selasny. And the judges for the Illustrators of the Future contest, past and present, are Ciruelo, Ed Cartier, Robert Castillo, Ego Chernick, Lazarus Chernick, Vincent DeFate, Diane and Leo Dillon, Dave Dorman, Bob Eggleton, Will Eisner, Larry Elmore, Frank Facetta, Frank Kelly Fries, Laura Fries Baraja, Jack Kirby, Paul Lear, Ron Lindan, Val Lakey Lindan, Stefan Martinier, Gary Meyer, Judith Miller, Merbius, Cliff Nielsen, Mike Perkins, Sergei Poyakov, Rob Pryor, Sean Tan, H.R. Van Dongen, and Stephen Ewell. Will those judges here tonight please stand to be acknowledged? We have a few special guests who will be participating in tonight's events, who I would also like to welcome. Erica Christensen stars as Allie Sadler in the upcoming ABC drama 10 Days in the Valley. Sheena Chauhan is an Indian actress who has starred in 7 major films and is the Human Rights Ambassador South Asia. Jim Meskimen is the voice of Ultron in Marvel's Avengers Assemble animated series. And Marisol Nichols, who stars as Hermione Ludge in Greg Berlanti's most recent series on the CW network, Riverdale. Now, for a brief overview of the past year. We again had a year of highest entries in the history of the contest. Submissions have now come from 186 nations, with our first submissions this year from 3 new countries, Andorra, Seychelles, and Benin. This year we counted over 90 novels published by past writer winners, and with the continuing growth and accumulation of winners each year, far too many novellas and short stories to even track. And from our over 300 past illustrator winners, we have hundreds of book covers, illustrations, graphic novels, comics, video games, websites, movies, shows, and more. So, less keeping you here all night, we again leave you with an impressive montage of what we captured for both camps. And as for awards, past winner and now judge Nnedi Okorafor won a Hugo Award for Best Novella and a Nebula Award for her story, Binti. In 2008 alumni Paula R. Stiles co-edited an anthology, She Walks in the Shadows, that won a World Fantasy Award. Aliette de Bodard won 2 British Science Fiction Association Awards for her novel, The House of Shattered Wings, and her short story, 3 Cups of Grief by Starlight. Ken Liu won a Best First Novel Locus Award for The Grace of Kings and the Seiun Award from the Japanese Science Fiction Federation for his translated story, Good Hunting. Several past Illustrators of the Future winners took home some impressive awards. Greg Opalinsky was nominated for the Spectrum 23 Awards. John Haverty won the 2016 Luxembourg Art Prize, and Kirby Fagan just won the 2017 Gone Award presented by the New England Science Fiction Association. 3 past winners won Australia's Aurealis Awards. Dr. Sean Williams, now also a Writers of the Future judge, for his short story, All the Wrong Places. Jason Fisher for Defy the Grey Kings, and Sean Tan, 1992 Illustrators of the Future alumni and 2011 Academy Award winner, won the award in the graphic novel category with The Singing Bones. Dr. Robert J. Sawyer, Writers of the Future judge, just received the 2017 Robert A. Heinlein Award. He was also recently named a member of the Order of Canada, the highest civilian honor bestowed by the Canadian government. Writers of the Future past entrant and current judge Brandon Sanderson signed a major motion picture deal for his Cosmere universe with DMG Entertainment. Finally, and above all, our winners from Volume 32 topped the charts with a Publishers Weekly review, which said that this anthology is an engaging mix of thought-provoking and inventive stories accompanied by equally impressive illustrations. As it hit #1 in science fiction on Amazon.com, #1 on the Barnes & Noble Science Fiction and Fantasy list, and in the top 10 on the Publishers Weekly National Bestseller list. And with that, congratulations to our past winners and present judges. To cap another great year, I'm very pleased to welcome 4 new judges. First, Jody Lynn Nye. A New York Times bestselling author, she has published more than 40 novels and 120 short stories in fantasy and science fiction. She has taught in numerous writing workshops and participated on hundreds of panels covering the subjects of writing and getting published. Add those qualities to her great sense of humor and she fits right in. Ciruelo from Barcelona, Spain is an international renowned fantasy artist who has been commissioned by George Lucas, Wizards of the Coast, TSR, Tor, and the list goes on. He truly is a maestro. You will recognize his phenomenal art when you see it. Mike Perkins is a longtime award-winning illustrator for Marvel Comics, having worked on Captain America, Thor, and Stephen King's The Stand. Lazarus Chernick is a creative director, brand manager, and award-winning designer, while also teaching art. He has 20 years of experience as an artist in the corporate world and has a wealth of professional advice to bring to the contest. Jody, Ciruelo, and Lazarus are here with us tonight. Will you please stand up and receive a very warm welcome? After a full quarter of a century as a judge and coordinating judge for the Illustrators of the Future contest, Ron Lindan decided to change the course of his life and turn over his contest duties. We thank Ron for his many years of dedication. And as change brings progress, we are extremely happy to welcome our new Illustrators of the Future coordinating judge, Echo Chernick. She has already energetically taken charge, bringing her enormous amount of professional skill, encouragement, and care to the contest. With this change in leadership, we thought it appropriate to hear from the very first coordinating judge for the Illustrators of the Future contest. That would be the legendary and late Mr. Frank Kelly Freas, known as the Dean of Science Fiction Artists. In this interview, he discusses the creative synergy between author and illustrator and an unforgettable encounter he had with the late founder of the Writers and Illustrators of the Future contest, L. Ron Hubbard. And here it is.
I managed to sell a cover to Weird Tales. That was my very first nationally published cover. My second nationally published cover was in Weird Tales. From there on, I began to get a little other work to do, Planet Stories and so on, and gradually became accepted as a professional illustrator of science fiction. Now, in those prehistoric times in which I entered illustration, I felt that the illustration had to be done, had to be placed in the service of the story. To just decorate the story was not enough as far as I was concerned. I wanted to know what the story was about, what there was to say about it that couldn't be put into words, and try to add that to what the author had already done. Hubbard was one of the few people who could write with enough feeling for the illustrative possibilities of a situation that there was no trouble. You pick up a Hubbard story with the job of doing 2 illustrations, you'll find 6 subjects in it. No problem at all. So Hubbard was the very first one that we remembered by name and what he wrote. Before that, authors were merely critters who punched typewriters. Now, Hubbard was a unique individual. I remember on this one occasion with a young writer, Hubbard spent a good 40 minutes talking to this young man, which nobody in the field would ever do at that period. Nobody would ever do at any period. The kid was lucky to get 10 minutes, he got 40. And Hubbard was such a fascinating person that I couldn't help concentrating on him rather than the person he was talking to. I admired Hubbard for doing it. I was astonished at his willingness to spend that time. Now, I watched him in action professionally over a period of time. I thought he was one of the most thoroughly human beings I ever encountered. He stimulated my sense of inquiry into other minds, which is probably more important than anything else. I hadn't been much interested in other people and the way they thought until after my acquaintance with Hubbard. And my whole approach to life began to change in my treatment of other people and in my expression of my own life. So I think it is incredible that one man could have as many ideas that benefited other people. And my friends and I not only read him, but read him for the ideas and applied them as well as we could in our natural lives. We applied them to our thinking, we applied them to our work. So he was a very important influence in my life in more ways than one. Because to tell you the truth, I did earn 11 Hugos, and I was the first coordinating judge of the Hubbard Illustrators contest. And I did several covers for the contest itself. So it's hard to imagine anybody coming along who can do it as much for artists and illustrators or anybody else now as he did for us 40, 50 years ago. This is the sort of thing that happens once in a century, if more than once ever. And I was lucky enough to live at the same time.
So now, to present the L. Ron Hubbard Lifetime Achievement Award, please welcome the contest director, Joni Labaki.
The L. Ron Hubbard Lifetime Achievement Award is bestowed to individuals for their outstanding contribution to the fields of writing and art. It has in the past been presented to luminaries and masters Jack Williamson, Frederick Pohl, Algis Budrys, Frank Frazetta, Anne McCaffrey, Frank Kelly Freese, Robert Silverberg, Larry Niven, Jerry Purnell, Charles Brown, Gregory Benford, Orson Scott Card, and Tom Doherty. This year, we are presenting the award to a very special individual and friend. He holds the world record for the most number of Hugo nominations at 37 and has won 5 of them. He is the top all-time award winner of short fiction. He has been nominated for and won science fiction awards in China, Japan, Spain, France, Croatia, Catalonia, Poland, Italy, England, and Australia. He's a legend at science fiction conventions everywhere, having been the guest of honor at more than 40. More than 150 novels and anthologies have been published under his editor byline. A Writers of the Future judge since 2008, he has taken 25 Writers of the Future winners under his wing and professionally published them in short story collections and anthologies. He has also co-authored novels with 14 past winners. During our annual week of workshops, he's known to hang out with our winners into the late hours of the night, giving them advice and support. I know. I have to bring them down from Cloud 9 the next morning and get them to the workshop in time. Please welcome this year's recipient of the L. Ron Hubbard Lifetime Achievement Award, Writers of the Future Judge, Mike Resnick.
I'm looking at Todd McCaffrey. Todd, on your best day, you couldn't chug-a-lug this one. Well, what Joni told you is true about my record. I have 2 more novels than your program book will say. My wife phoned me yesterday to say they had both arrived in the mail, so I think I'm up to 76 novels now. I've done even more books that aren't novels, collections, anthologies, nonfiction, what have you. And close to 300 short stories, and I've won a bunch of awards, and I'm very proud of all of them. So much for the record. Now let me tell you a story. About 25, 26 years ago, I was editing an anthology, as I often did, and a young man named Nick DiCerio, who I'd never heard of, sent me a story. Now, my anthologies, just for a matter of pure practicality, were and are by invitation only. I just can't read 3,000 slush stories to put out one book. But he had heard about the anthology, and somehow he had found my address, and he had sent me a story. And I thought, well, he went to that much trouble. Maybe I should just read the first few pages, see what I think of it. And I knew by page 4 that nothing could keep that story off the Hugo ballot. I bought it, and indeed nothing did keep it off. It was a Hugo nominee, it was a World Fantasy nominee, and Nick himself was a Campbell nominee for Best New Writer. I met him at a convention about 7 or 8 months later and asked him why he had sent it to an anthology, because surely he knew it was award quality, and back then the magazines outsold the anthologies about 3 to 1, and of course he would want the most potential voters to read it. His answer was that he had sent it to 7 different magazines in the field and had gotten a form rejection from each of them. Now, all that meant to me was that the slush readers were a little stupider than usual. But about 8 months later, we became friends, we corresponded. He sent me another story, not for anything I was editing, but because, again, it had been turned down by everybody in the field, and he wanted me to take a look at it and tell him what was wrong with it. So I did, and the only thing wrong with it was that it was by a Nick, and not an Isaac or an Arthur or a Ray. And I thought, if we continue to treat this young man like this, he's going to go write mysteries or espionage, and we're going to lose a major talent. So since I get a number of assignments every year myself to write short stories for anthologies and what have you, I began collaborating with Nick just to get him into print. And we did 12 stories together, enough so that we ultimately put out a collection of them. And from that day to this, now that his name has been seen, he's not having any trouble as a writer or as a selling writer. He's been nominated for another Hugo. He's got a couple of novels out, got about 30 or 40 stories. And I thought to myself, he can't be the only person that the field is treating like this. And from that day to this, whenever I come across a new young writer of promise, I do for them what I did for Nick. I collaborate with them to get them into print. I buy from them for my anthologies and for the magazines I edit. And at conventions, I take them around, I introduce them to editors rather, and to agents, and anybody I think can do them some good. A Hugo winner herself, Maureen McHugh, seemed to be charmed by it, especially watching them follow me around like ducklings as we go from editor to agent, and she dubbed them Mike's writer children. And it's a term that hasn't bothered me. In the decade of the 1990s, my writer children made the John Campbell ballot for Best New Writer 9 different times. During that same decade of the 1990s, I edited perhaps a dozen anthologies, surely no more than that. And I bought more first stories during that decade than the 3 major monthly magazines combined. And from that day to this, I have done everything I can to help Mike's writer children. I'm very proud of all the books and stories I've written, even a few of the screenplays I've been paid for that nobody's ever going to see. And the fact remains that for better or worse, they're history. They're the past. I'm expecting to be very proud of the numerous books that I have under contract or in process or that I'm planning to do, but for all practical purposes, they're the present. And this is the writers of the future. By definition, they should be less concerned with the past and the present than they are with other things. And because of that, I, on behalf of my writer children, and I hope 20 years from now, their writer children, proudly accept the Writers of the Future Lifetime Achievement Award. I thank you. Thank you. If you'll stop clapping, I can get off stage and we can get on with the awards. Thank you. Which way do I go? This way. Okay.
Our guest speaker tonight is of and about the theme of this event, Dreamers and Dragons. He is the co-founder and current president of one of the largest science fiction, fantasy, gaming, comics, and pop culture conventions in the world, DragonCon, out of Atlanta, Georgia. A self-described geek, he enjoys reading both science fiction and fantasy, and passionately speaks of the value of comics and games to turn our youth into readers, and through that, inspire them to dress up in imaginable and unimaginable character costumes for the annual DragonCon parade. He is, in short, a perfectly normal human being who loves magic, monsters, aliens, dinosaurs, and dragons. To tell you his story and give you your Dragon 101, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Pat Henry.
Thank you very much. Let's establish one thing at the outset of my talk. I believe in dragons. This is quite a spectacular event, recognizing talented, aspiring writers and artists of science fiction and fantasy from all over the world. There's an unbiased competition that takes place for you participants to get here, and your work is then judged by an esteemed group of judges who give a lot of their time to pay it forward and make you and our industry better. Given no guarantee of return, Writers and Illustrators of the Future is endowed in perpetuity by L. Ron Hubbard. This is quite a gift that's been given to our industry and to our world. As a person who makes a living promoting fantasy and a person who enjoys reading fantasy, thank you, Mr. Hubbard, thank you, administrators, and thank you, judges. Fantasy began as oral tales of historic deeds and tragic romances, ghost stories, and fantastic voyages. In the Middle Ages, romance and fairy tales began to enter the genre. Historically, most works of fantasy were written pieces of literature. Fantasy literature as a distinct type emerged during Victorian times with the works of such writers as Mary Shelley, William Morris, and George MacDonald. In more modern times, J.R.R. Tolkien played a large role in popularizing the fantasy genre with his publications, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Today, fantasy continues as an expansive medium encompassing many subgenres of literature, epic fantasy and sword and sorcery, to urban fantasy, magical realism, fairy tale fantasy, dark fantasy, and many more. Fantasy has been distinguished from other forms of literature by its style and its freedom of expression, wherein an author has the ability to use any storytelling element to strengthen the narrative, whether it be dragons, magic, or castles. Authors often engage in creating an entire world against which the narrative plays out. L. Ron Hubbard noted, "Science fiction, to be credible, has to be based in some degree on plausibility. Fantasy gives you no limits at all. This doesn't say one is better than the other. They are simply very different genres from a professional viewpoint." So at last, dragons come into the conversation. Are they fantasy or are they real? It is claimed that dragons appeared in prehistoric cave art dating back 20,000 years. Dragons were first introduced in written word in approximately 2500 BC in an Akkadian poem that is considered the first great work of literature. The dragon is one of the oldest characters in the Epic of Gilgamesh and earlier Sumerian poems. Dragons are almost universal throughout the world's ancient cultures: Hebrew, Greek, Roman, Aztec, Egyptian, Babylonian, Norse, and Chinese. Early dragons differ by region. Dragons from Asia are long and snake-like. From India, they have deer horns and multiple heads. Slavic dragons are again snake-like with multiple horns, and their heads grow back unless you cut them all off. Now, Ethiopian dragons eat elephants and can grow to 180 feet long. European dragons live in rivers and caves, have armored hides and wings, though they rarely fly. Dragons have been battled by such notables as Gilgamesh, Sigurd, Beowulf, Siegfried, Hercules, Perseus, and St. George. A couple of these characters are historic fact. Others, probably not. There are a variety of dragons, too, some named, some unnamed. The most famous include Tiamat, Smog, Leviathan, Elliot, Fafnir, King Ghidra, Puff, and of course my granddaughter's favorite, Toothless. Evidence that dragons are real is interesting and fun, but admittedly a little bit weak. The dragon is in fact fantasy. In fact, it's been said that the dragon is the very emblem of fantasy. After all, who could believe in a creature that spews fire or an acid, and one type's blood can kill and another type's blood gives invulnerability? They come in many colors of the rainbow, including metallic. Most are greedy, some are vain, most tell lies, but some tell jokes. In 1974, dragons were heavily and no doubt scientifically researched and specifically categorized by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson in a game called Dungeons and Dragons. Information was cataloged in the Monster Manual, which incidentally was typed and edited from handwritten text by your new Writers of the Future judge, Jody Lynn Nye. Beautiful renderings were done of all these fantastic creatures. Writers and illustrators working together, collaborating, sometimes the illustrators taking the lead, sometimes the writer. And some of these writers and illustrators are here tonight, right, Larry? Larry Elmore? All dragons have the choice of being good or evil, but there are some general tendencies based on type reflecting our own human nature. Red dragons are the Gordon geckos of the dragon world. They are greedy, covetous, fiercely territorial, and obsessed with increasing their treasure hoard. They are vain, cunning, and terrible. A red dragon can be identified by its 2 wings and 2 long horns. They prefer to eat meat, especially people, and they breathe fire. Black dragons are the mother-in-laws of the dragon world. They are vile, evil-tempered, and obsessed with death. They are abusive, quick to anger, and malevolent. She prefers surprise attacks versus fair fighting and can be identified by her grim skeletal appearance. She breathes poisonous, sizzling acid. Blue dragons are pensive and vain, preferring to attack people in ambush. A blue dragon can be identified by his frilled ears and a single horn upon his head. His eyes are glossy and without pupils. Blue dragons breathe lightning. Green dragons are belligerent creatures and masters of intrigue, politics, and backbiting. They are cruel, they are liars, and discourse with them can lead to your disaster. Green dragons breathe toxic chlorine gas. White dragons, also called ice dragons, are remarkably bestial, preferring frozen food. They bury their prey in snowbanks for days before consuming it. Purple dragons, also known as deep dragons, are possibly the least well-known of the chromatic dragon family. They live deeper in the earth than most human folk ever go. Gray dragons, or storm dragons, are masters of the skies. They are excellent flyers and only land to rest or eat. In addition, they have full control of the weather and will attack any human that bothers them, conjuring strong winds and dangerous lightning. Metallic dragons in modern fantasy, brass, bronze, copper, gold, and silver, are generally good, unlike chromatic dragons, which are generally evil. All metallic dragons have dull scales at birth and become shinier with aging. And finally, space dragons. Space dragons are hybrids, a mix of science fiction and fantasy. They have rocket packs or spaceships because wings just don't really work that well in the void of space. Most are smaller than their Earth counterparts simply because there's not a lot to eat in outer space. In 1986, most conventions focused on one genre. There were comic book conventions, science fiction conventions, gaming conventions, and Star Trek conventions. At the time, 7 of us convention nerds with very diverse interests got together to model a convention with our own unique style. Our first show had Michael Moorcock, Gary Gygax, Eric Bloom, and Richard Garriott. Quite a diverse convention. Diverse like dragons. We needed to be big like most dragons to afford our aspirations. Dragons are not only in literary fantasy, but they're in science fiction, games, TV, cosplay, movies, and comic books. What a great name for a convention. Let's call it Dragon Con. In 1989, guest of honor, the late Anne McCaffrey, a past Writers of the Future judge and SIFWA Grandmaster, came to the show, making Pern, as well as other fantasy literature, an established part of our convention. Today, we have 8 literary tracks, 5 additional tracks that cross over into literature, along with all those great classic science fiction convention traditions. Over half of the judges here for Writers and Illustrators of the Future have been guests at our show, and many come back every year. We also have a number of past contest winners who take an active role in running our conference. Award programs like this are an integral part of the creative workspace. They help artists of all sorts elevate their game and reach for the fantastic, and work hard to be recognized for what they continually give so much of their passion and life to create. In fact, we believe so much in the importance of the awards programs that we started the Dragon Con Awards this past year. They are an unbiased People's Choice Awards with 11 categories, 7 of which are literature. Like the Dragon, our recipients are extraordinary and unique. Just as movies helped us through the Depression, comics through the Second World War, and music through the Vietnam era, we need science fiction and fantasy today to help us through today's uncertain times, to help us reshape and redefine the world in which we live. The demand for these genres has never been greater. The market has never been better. Today, written words and illustrations of speculative fiction fuel not only the literary world, but also feed the television industry, the movie industry, video games, cosplay, and music. Good fantasy is magic. It transports the reader to a new and different reality, and they come back changed forever. We want to become absorbed in your fantasy. We want you to make us believe. You have the talent, and now you have the tools. Go and make us proud. Thank you, Writers and Illustrators of the Future. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for everything you do to carry L. Ron Hubbard's vision to promote and improve this great industry.
We now come to the awards for the best aspiring authors and illustrators of the year, gleaned from thousands of submissions. Each quarter, our venerable judges choose 3 winning writers and 3 winning illustrators, 24 artists in all, who stand before you tonight, along with 2 finalist stories chosen by the editor. As we present the awards, we will give you a special taste of each story and the art included in our 33rd volume. Our adventure begins with the story, A Glowing Heart. On a distant world among the cloud peaks, the Lighthawks promise a rich reward for those daring enough to harvest one. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge Tim Powers and actress Marisol Nichols.
Thank you. It says Best Picture is La La Land. But no. Anton Rose comes to us from Durham, England, where he lives with his wife, Beth. Since completing his PhD in theology, he now works as a communications analyst and a theology tutor. I probably have some questions for him. His short stories and poems have been published in several print and online journals, and he's currently working on a post-apocalyptic alternate history set in the 1st century. Please congratulate the author of A Glowing Heart, Anton Rose.
Well, it's kind of fitting that I'm up first, because in many ways this has been a whole week of firsts. This is my first ever trip to America. This is my first ever writing workshop, my first ever writing award, and believe it or not, it's the first time I've shared a stage with a giant dragon. If he starts trying to eat me, please do say so. This really has been an amazing week, just full of incredible experiences. I'd really like to, first of all, thank all of the staff at Galaxy Press and Author Services. From the moment we've all landed here, the welcome has just been incredibly warm, and they've all worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this a really fantastic experience for all of us. So thank you very much. The workshop itself has been a really incredible experience, and we've been incredibly lucky to have so many judges coming in and giving their own perspectives, and to get that kind of diverse range of views has been absolutely fantastic. I'd particularly like to thank, though, Tim and David, who have they've been a wonderful double act together, and they've really entertained us, and they've really been generous in the way they've shared their wisdom, shared their knowledge, and they really encouraged us. So thank you to all the judges, and particularly Tim and David. I'd also like to thank all of the previous winners who've come back and again shared their wisdom, shared their knowledge. It's been great to see a few people who are kind of a few years down the line from where we are now, and particularly to Megan and Ron, who've been here all week long, and they've been supporting us, encouraging us, and they've been a real big help all through the week. So thank you very much. One of the big highlights of the week was the art reveal, when we all got to see the artwork to go with our stories. I'd already had a little look at some of Anthony's work online, so I knew he was a seriously talented artist, but still actually seeing his art for the first time completely blew me away. So Anthony, thank you very much. I'm very fortunate to have a strong support network at home of people who have encouraged me in my writing career. My parents in particular have always been supportive, but my biggest supporter of all is my wife Beth, who is back at home in England watching this right now. Beth not only puts up with my writing, but she actively supports it. She's my first reader and my biggest fan, and the best person I've ever met. So Beth, thank you very much, and this one is definitely for you. The life of being a writer it can be quite lonely at times with lots of solitary hours spent in front of a computer screen, and it can also be quite discouraging at times. Over the past few years, I've accrued literally hundreds of rejection slips. And so the friends that I've made this week and the sheer encouragement that this week has provided have just been completely invaluable, and I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Anthony Moravian specializes in charcoal drawings and oil paintings. Anthony was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and began drawing at the age of 3. A graduate of the Associate's Program at the Fashion Institute of Technology, he is currently honing his craft at the Art Students League of New York. Please congratulate illustrator of A Glowing Heart, Anthony Moravian.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. I had a really fantastic time this week getting to meet all of the other fellow contestants and judges. Everyone, all the instructors were fantastic, and I learned so much this week that I would just love to implement that in my work as soon as possible. So I would like to start by thanking Author Services and Galaxy Press for putting this whole thing together. I think it's really fantastic that something like this exists to help promote artists and authors, and overall it's just been really amazing. I would also like to thank my friends and family for always believing in me. Like, even in times when I didn't believe in myself, it was really great to have their support around me, and I think that definitely is what helped push me through and continue. And my mentors in college were also fantastic inspirations in my life. They helped push me forward. They gave me invaluable advice that helped me further my interest in traditional painting, and I also would like to thank them as well. And once again, I would like to thank the fellow authors and illustrators in this contest. You guys have been really fantastic. It was great. It's great meeting you all. You've been really positive and just overall very welcoming. Lastly, thanks again to all the judges and instructors. The information that we went over this week has been really fantastic, and I really just can't wait to put it to good use. And thanks, and have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of the show.
In Moonlight 1, a happily married couple are stationed on the moon. But when Gwen finds her husband murdered, she's the only suspect. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge, Dr. Robert J. Sawyer.
Stephen Lawson lives in Louisville, Kentucky with his wife, a rabbit, and a pair of bee colonies. Stephen spent 5 years on active duty with the Navy after high school and deployed 3 times. His carrier battle group deployed on September 19, 2001, as part of the immediate response to 9/11, which eventually became Operation Enduring Freedom. Please congratulate the author of Moonlight One, Stephen Lawson.
Wow, this is surreal for me. If you watch another recent awards ceremony in Hollywood, you might get the title of the irony in the title of my story, Moonlight One. Tim, you set me up for that. I couldn't resist it. Moonlight One. So that's the first time tonight. My mind's been blown. The second time was seeing you guys come up in those blade leg stilt things. I thought those were going to be for some kind of fantasy thing. That was totally awesome, and my mind got blown again. So I have a few people I want to thank. There are too many people to thank, honestly, for me to do it in one night, but I have a short list. I want to thank Almighty God first and foremost. I couldn't do anything without him. If there's any light in me, that's his light. I want to thank my mom, my dad, for bringing me up, and I'm doing the best I can to say you raised me right. I want to thank my wife, Anna Laura. I want to thank the people at Author Services and Galaxy Press. They've been working behind the scenes all week, and they've done an amazing job. Thank you so much for what you do. I want to thank, you guys deserve that. You're awesome. I want to thank Dave Wolverton, who edited the anthology. He got some things that I didn't, and the story gained a lot of value because of Dave. He does great work, and I'm very thankful for that. I want to thank Mr. Hubbard for setting up this contest and paying it forward for people like me to do what we do. And if you're thinking about entering this, I just spoke with a young lady out in the lobby before this who's submitted to this contest. This is a great launching point. This is what you should do. Like, if you want to write science fiction or fantasy, start here. This is a great launching point, and they take amazing care of you, and they will set you up for success. Thank you.
In Envoy in the Ice, an alien with godly intelligence is discovered watching the Earth, and one man must try to learn if its motives are pure. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge, Dr. Doug Beeson, and Illustrators of the Future judge, Dr. Laura Fries-Baraha.
Good evening. Dustin Steinecker lives in Orem, Utah with his wife, Helena. Between the 6th and 7th grades, Dustin was bumped from advanced English to regular English for reading through class. At the time, he had the nerve to think that this is ironic, and we agree. He's currently revising his debut novel, a new weird colonial fantasy. Writers of the Future is his first sale. Please congratulate author of Envoy in the Ice, Dustin Steinecker.
Three years ago, my master's program was kind enough to give me the opportunity to take some off-curricular classes. This class was called Writing Fiction, taught by author Brandon Sanderson. As I worked through graduate courses in advanced decision modeling and statistical analysis, I was also preparing a 50,000-word submission for the end of the semester. So needless to say, this was a busy time in my life. Near the end of the semester, we were visited by Galaxy Press, publisher of the annual Writers of the Future collection. We had, Brandon's class was so popular, we had people sitting in the aisles and watching from the rafters, but you bet they had enough copies for everybody, and then some. I resolved to enter every quarter until I made finalists. And for me, writing is periods of propulsive ego followed by crushing insecurity. In the former, I had dreams of being a finalist, and in the latter, I realized that I still needed to learn how to write. And Writers of the Future was the best writing tutor I ever had. Seriously, polishing up a story every quarter and getting it out there, like for a given purpose, not just for some Dropbox folder, it really does polish you up, and I really do recommend it to anybody. I'd like to thank my wife, Helena, for encouraging me to enter that first campus writing contest that got me on this path and for staying on that path with me. I'd also like to thank the authors and judges who have been with us this week, especially Dave Farland and Tim Powers, who've just been absolutely fantastic. I'd like to thank just all the people who had came to mentor us and to tell us in no uncertain terms, congratulations, now get over yourself and keep writing. Thank you again to the amazing people at Galaxy Press and Author Services. These are some of the most positive professional people I've ever seen, and their enthusiasm for the medium is real, and it is infectious. This is a place where you can be walking the hallways and get into a conversation with anybody from security to reception to management about like Elmore Leonard or like 50s sci-fi or something like that. Like, these are real fans. Thank you as well to my writing group, Christy, Ben, Michelle, and Adam. And finally, thank you to my fellow writers and illustrators in this collection. I've really gotten to know them over the past few weeks, and I can't imagine a group of people I'd rather share a book with. Thank you.
Good evening. Yader Fonseca, he's from Miami, Florida, and seeing his father come home late from work and doodle on napkins, Yader decided to pursue a career in the arts. Yader studied at the School of Visual Arts in New York, where he received his bachelor's degree. He works as a freelancer for the entertainment industry, doing illustrations for games, film, and concept art. Please congratulate illustrator of Envoy in the Ice, Yader Fonseca.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the show right now. So this is going to be just very quick because I'm kind of nervous right now. So I want to thank Author Services and Galaxy Press for making this event very special for me. I'd actually like to thank Shernick and Lazarus for being a good judge and supporting my art and inspiring me to keep pushing further. But also a special artist as well as that I met was Ciruelo, which he's been an inspiration in my art as well. Also, my former illustrator contestants, they've been all great. They're just all talented. I've learned so much from their work, and like we just I can't believe like how amazing they are at this stage in life. But I also would like to thank my family and my friends, and yeah, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Tears for Shulna. Some gifts come with heavy price tags, and the giver must rise to the occasion. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Todd McCaffrey and Illustrators of the Future Judge Rob Pryor.
A native of Northern California, Andrew L. Roberts is the unlikely descendant of pirates, pilgrims, and Portuguese fishermen. While predominantly a fantasy writer, he also enjoys magical realism, science fiction, and epic verse. Please welcome author of Tears for Sholna, Andrew Roberts.
You know, words are golden. They can bring you to tears, or they can make you laugh. But a good story can actually take you someplace like a ship, and if you have a good compass and a good captain, they'll bring you home again. And as a writer, we try to be that captain, or at least the navigator, and we give the story to you. If it works, it's partially because of us, but equally as much, it's because of you and your imagination. Our trick is to learn how to touch things inside of you to make you feel what we feel when we're writing. There are lots of people here in the audience who want to be writers. There are lots of writers in the audience who want to be artists. And the only difference between those who do and those who haven't started is they haven't given themselves permission. And I was lucky. I was given permission to do all kinds of ridiculously silly things and to do things that would make me happy. I guess 33 years ago, L. Ron Hubbard created this contest. But that's a long time ago. And there's a huge team of people here. From photographers to greeters to the people that I never even met who make this possible, who keep it going forward year after year, offering the opportunity and then nurturing us like you would not believe. I have lots of people to thank. First and foremost, Author Services and Galaxy Press. And second of all, my wife, who's my friend and my muse, and I wish she was here, but she's still at home. I wasn't going to try and say what I had written because I made a huge mistake at our wedding in Japan, and I decided I'd memorize my speech, and I said the very opposite at one moment of what I was supposed to say, but I'm going to spare you that word. Megan O'Keefe, who previously won, invited me into her writers group a long time ago. She won the contest, and she encouraged all of us in her group to participate in this contest. But I am stubborn as well as imaginative, and I found lots of reasons to put it off until a man who has become my adopted brother of sorts, Cliff Winnig, sat down with me and told me why I needed to do this. Both Cliff and Megan are right. And still I was slow at heeding the call. But Cliff has my phone number and my email address, and we're Facebook friends. And he convinced me to do it. So I entered the third quarter with a different story, which I really loved, and got a silver honorable mention, and I thought, wow, that's better than I expected. And I already had another one out for the fourth quarter, and Joni Labaki called me and told me, first I was a finalist, and then called back again and congratulated me, but first told me, are you sitting down? I love so many of the people I've met here. My roommate at Jake and Andy's summer camp kept me going through the 24-hour short story writing challenge when I was having a meltdown. And when I melt down, I melt down. it's nice to have someone that much larger than you to keep you from being stupid. Megan told me early on, even before I met him, that Tim Powers is one of the good ones. Tim, I hope this doesn't embarrass you, but I love you. I really do. And Dave, with your teaching me how to look at my story by editing it, and finally teaching me a lesson that others have tried to teach me, but doing it in a way that I understood finally. I owe you a debt I can never repay, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life as a writer trying to do so. If only just so that I can come back and visit this workshop and see you smile and walk in front of the hotel holding your wife's hand, which to me as a writer is the best lesson we can learn, because we don't get here without the people we love. So there are a couple of others I have to thank in case I don't forget. Earl, Aaron, Arlie, Trish, Karen, Jill, Sandra, Effie. If you're not watching this, I'm going to be really mad. And I cut off their last names because I've been talking a long time. This object, this trophy, this is not what this contest is about. This is affirmation. This contest is about getting your ass to a workshop where you can learn the things that you've already established that you can win the contest. But it's the people here who will make you the writer you absolutely need to be. So again, I'm going to say it. Tim and Dave, I love you guys so much. And I hope you don't mind if I hug you after this. Thank you.
Rachel Quinlan graduated in 2001 from Michigan State University with a bachelor's in studio art, primarily in ceramics and sculpture. Rachel's main goal in her art was to create immersive, beautiful, and mysterious images. She hopes to self-publish books and games in the next year or two. Please congratulate illustrator of Tears of Shalna, Rachel Quinlan.
Hello. So I play D&D, and just this last week, my party had something miraculous happen. One of the party members was praying at a temple in front of a priest that inexplicably looked like a banana, and she was blessed with this amazing weapon. And it was so amazing that the entire party entered into an inspired state. That is what this has been for me. I'd like to thank L. Ron Hubbard, Author Services and Galaxy Press for just this incredible experience. It feels, whatever I say feels inadequate at describing what this has been for me. My family, my parents, Sarah and Doug Foreman, my husband, and without them, making art wouldn't be possible for me. My children, Alice, Paige, and Garrett, who've taught me how to stop wasting all of my free time. Nat Plain, my boss, who is the coolest, most handsome CEO of any tech company that has ever existed. And I know this because he tells me every single week. In addition, he was also one of the earliest collectors of my work, and it inspired me to keep making more work. The members of the Changeling Artist Collective, who are a group of my peers, they not only inspire and support me, but they give me the motivation to try to keep up. All of the judges for the contest, it's just been amazing, and I don't feel like I could adequately express like what this has meant for me. And my author, Andrew, he wrote such an evocative story, and it was so lush and full of details, like it felt like it was written for me to illustrate. And that's it. Thank you.
In The Armor Embrace, Flora's father is a mech soldier of the Slayer class, but how much of him is really left inside the machine? Please welcome Writers of the Future judge, Kevin J. Anderson.
Well, I was going to start out with a long and convoluted joke, but we got to keep things moving along because we don't want the ceremony to be dragging. I knew she was going to. Okay, Doug C. Souza grew up in a home with a playful love for the arts. For years, Doug only shared his stories with family, but then, about 7 years ago, he ventured out to a local writing group to seek a way to improve his craft, and the fire has been sufficiently stoked. Doug lives in Modesto, California, with his wife and their very active daughter. Please congratulate the author of The Armor Embrace, Doug Souza.
Don't Stop Believin' is one of my favorite songs. I made a rule early on that whenever I got a rejection, I would listen to it. It just, it makes you feel so good. I couldn't listen to it anymore. It's so many times. I didn't know that could happen, but it did. I want to start by thanking my parents. My mom, Jeannie Souza, taught me right off that my creativity was a blessing, even though it affected my grades. My dad, David Souza, he taught me to work at it. And this attitude that if you work at it, you'll be amazed at the things that can happen. I think he wanted more of like a mechanic or other things, but he was right. The rest of my family, my brother, my sister, Robert and Stephanie, extended family, you're also amazing. You always ask about how writing's going. I kind of flub it sometimes and build it up, so I'm doing more. My friends that have supported me, means so much. The friends I made this week, I am humbled to be in this anthology with the other writers. They're wonderful stories in there. Everyone at Galaxy Press, I think you've taken Mr. Hubbard's idea and not only just kept it alive, but you've made it very vibrant. And I really appreciate how nice you were. That made a world of difference. All the judges and past winners who helped us out this week, David Farland, I've been reading your writing tips for a long time. I don't think you know how many people you help with writing when we're struggling, when we're at those dark times. Tim Powers. Tim Powers, I was arriving at the hotel and my head was swimming and Marco said, "There's Tim Powers, let's go say hi." And I thought, he's getting his luggage out, he just got from the flight, let's just go inside. But I said hi, and you were very warm and just, "Hello, how's it going?" And I thought, I don't know, it's crazy here. But it set the tone for the rest of the week, and that was really nice, so thank you for being that way. And last but definitely not least, Nicole Souza, my wife. I'm doing it, you're right there. You're my main reader, main supporter. You remind me of the randomness of it all, to say the story's good, but it might come back. And I don't like it when that happens, but you're there for me when it does. You also are really good at, when I show you something I poured my heart into, to say, let's take another look at page 3 and see what we can do. And I brought this because after a very hard rejection, they're all hard, I won't lie. Sorry, aspiring writers, but you're gonna have to deal with that. But one was particularly hard, and I put on a hard shell at home, played it off like, hey, that happens, it's part of the business, but it hurt, and I think you could tell because the next day at work, I was on my way at a Starbucks, and I pulled out to get the Starbucks card, or my credit card, I don't know, and this was in there. It was a little heart you cut out, and on it said, "Don't stop believing, hugs and kisses." I keep it with me, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
In the Drake equation, Carol's ship hull is breached by a meteor, leaving her somewhere between life and death. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Nancy Kress and Illustrators of the Future Judge Cirello.
Wow, after that, I feel I should rush right home and take a Pilates class. C.L. Cagney has loved both science and fiction from an early age. When she stumbled across her first science fiction novel at the age of 11, she knew that she had found her home. She studied neuroscience at the University of Michigan and is currently a freelance writer, splitting her time among half a dozen cities in the United States. Please congratulate the author of The Drake Equation, C.L. Cagney.
All right, well, I would like to thank, first of all, the performer of that amazing performance. I did not know that was coming, and so I am as awed as all of you. That was really quite amazing. I would like to thank the staff of Author Services. I know you've heard this 6 times now, but we cannot emphasize how kind everyone has been and how organized. You know, writers and artists, not the most predictable of people, so having something run really, really smoothly that is a writers and artists event is rather remarkable. I would like to thank my grandmother, who I found that Jack Williamson novel at a drawer in her guest room, and an immediate addiction was formed. My mother, who I believe I inherited the writing gene from, and my father, who has been very supportive of both his writer wife and daughter, which I imagine isn't always the easiest thing in the world. I would like to thank my amazing illustrator, Michael Mashera, who really made my story jump off the page. I was amazed when I saw his work at the big reveal this week, and it's, I imagine, going up in a minute, seriously eye-popping. And I would like to thank the judges, who have been incredible, really generous with their time. I know they say as a writer you have to be ruthless with your time or it just won't happen, and so I've been really impressed with all of the judges volunteering to help us out, and particularly with Tim and David, who have been just so generous as mentors, and you really couldn't ask for a better pair of writing teachers. L. Ron Hubbard, I am very grateful that he established this contest, and I'm very grateful that a contest like this exists, because all the writers and artists out there know that you don't get a lot of encouragement from outside of your your friends, your families, your writing group, and I believe this kind of art and literature really is important. Hubbard talked about being in meetings with Heinlein and other great Golden Age writers about how do we promote space exploration? How do we help the public to imagine what is possible with our current technology? And I believe that's no less true with fantasy. You know, science fiction explores what is possible scientifically, but fantasy is really all about the human spirit. And there's so much great work that goes on in that genre as well. So I'm really grateful that this contest exists and that Hubbard has found a way to continue encouraging new writers even after he's not around anymore. So I know it's really easy, and I've seen a lot of writers and a lot of artists. It's really tempting to turn your eyes to the ground and say, you know, I just need to figure out how I can survive, that I could make a career in this field is not feasible, it's not even really, worth practicing my craft. But it is very important that we have art and literature as a society. Like Winston Churchill said, well, if we defund the arts, what are we fighting for? So, So thank you to everyone who is part of this contest. Thank you to my fellows artists and writers, both those who won the contest and maybe those who are sitting in the audience hesitating about whether to submit. And keep reaching for the stars. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Michael Misiera was born and currently resides in Poland. Michael has always been fascinated by traditional drawing as well as comic art. He loves to experiment with art styles, though he most enjoys creating robots and futuristic designs of sci-fi technology. Michael's biggest dream is to work as a concept designer for the film industry in Hollywood. Please congratulate illustrator of the Drake equation, Michael Misiera.
My first time in America. This is a wonderful moment in my life because I was raised on American movies, comic books, and music. All of those things had huge influence on me and made me who I am today. For a very long time, it has been my dream to see Los Angeles. Now my goal is accomplished and I can be here with you tonight. I would like to thank Author Services and Galaxy Press. I am very grateful to everyone who made this contest possible. You proved me that hard work pays off and I am on the right track. I will continue to put my best effort into my art because I want to be one of the best in the industry. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people here and be among those who share similar passions. You're amazing. I love you guys. I love this country. Thank you.
The long, dizzy down takes place in a world where memories can be stripped. There, Bill discovers that he has a family he has never known. Please welcome Mr. Jim Meskimen.
Thank you, and as Ultron might say, greetings, obsolete humans. Zipporah Hildebrandt works as an energy healer and has several nonfiction book publications and has written numerous children's picture books, mid-grade and young adult novels, and novels for adults. This is her first fiction publication. Please congratulate author of The Long Dizzy Down, Zipporah Hildebrandt.
I feel like a little seedling that has just popped into the sun for the first time. All these bright lights and beautiful faces, and wow. And this whole week has kind of been like that. Thank you, all of you, for showing up here, and all of you who are here for me, thank you, and all of you who have made me feel so welcome and so chosen and seen. Thank you very much. L. Ron Hubbard, speaking of seeds, he seeded the future with us, these winners, me and my delightful new family. You are the wisest, most generous, and funny writers I could ever ask for to be my relatives. And Walter, who could not be here tonight, you're one of us, and we're here for you. And I've always felt a little out of step with myself and with time and with the mainstream of time. And as a writer of the future, I feel like I've actually kind of caught up with myself somehow. And maybe I can now like go on into the future myself altogether. And all of you out there who are still like dreaming, thinking it's in the future, stop talking yourself out of it, please. Believe in yourself, take the step, submit your story, your art. It's amazing. And I want to thank so much the lovely team at Author Services and Galaxy Press. They nurture this contest, and they nurture us. And all of you who have not yet submitted or have not yet won, let them nurture you and your dreams. The illustrator of my story is also not here tonight. He created a profound image for my story. And I would just like all of us to ask ourselves, ask the world, what else is possible for creating a world when people can be here and can be here with us when they're invited? And what does this contest and what do we, as we choose our choices into the future, what are we creating as a new future for our planet that is different than anything we've ever seen? Because that's, I think, what L. Ron Hubbard was really after, is seeding the seeds of different possibilities that no one's imagined yet. And who better than writers and illustrators of the future? The science fiction, the fantasy, the ones who imagine. And there are so many people I would love to thank. I've been writing a long time, and so many people encouraged me and advised me along the way. So I'm going to really try and keep this brief. Friends, teachers, listeners, readers, critiquers. I'm going to just name a few people: Jane Yolen, Gary Gravel. Gary befriended me at my very first convention and told me about this contest. Thank you, Gary. Linda Nagata, who I exchanged manuscripts with, and she was very encouraging, even when I kind of fell off the planet for a while there. The judges of this contest, I'm so grateful that you chose my story. And this has just been a watershed week for me, and I think for all of us here. And thank you to my daughter and my friends for showing up tonight. It's great to have you here with me. And thank you to my husband for his unstinting support for so many years. Thank you all. I love you. What else is possible for the rest of our lives and our planet?
Asher Ben Alpay comes from a small, I'll give you that again. Asher Ben Alpay comes from a small and mountainous town in the Philippines. He has drawn ever since his hands could hold a pen or pencil. Asher loves working as an artist and designer for private companies and clients. Asher was not able to attend our evening ceremonies tonight, but we have a message from him.
I want to say thank you to the Writers and Illustrators of the Future contest. Thank you, L. Ron Hubbard, for such an amazing event. Thank you to Joni and Miliva. Thank you to Zipporah for writing an amazing story for me to illustrate. And I am extremely grateful and honored for the recognition and award. And congratulations to the rest of the winners. Thank you so much.
In acquisition, Barlow has a talent for finding the dead. Or do they find him? Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Larry Niven and Illustrators of the Future Judge Val Lakey Lindon.
Good evening. Jake Marley has been driving the night roads of Southern California for the past 20 years, listening to audiobooks and dreaming up worlds of his own. His characters carpool with him, but only come to life when they're finally on the page. Jake lives in Orange County, California, with his wife, his daughter, his mom's golden retriever, and 2 suspicious chickens. Please congratulate author of Acquisition, Jake Marley.
I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget. Long before I won this wonderful award, the Writers of the Future contest changed the way I wrote. Some years back, my wife Jamie was a semifinalist, and she got a critique from Katie Wentworth, whose insight into Jamie's stories taught us both how to craft better fiction, encouraged us to grow as writers, and helped make my wife an invaluable editor of my work. Jamie is my first reader, my greatest cheerleader, my harshest critic, and my best friend. And I would not be here without her, so the first thanks go to Jamie. I'd like to thank L. Ron Hubbard, everyone at Author Services and Galaxy Press. Big thanks to the judges who connected with my work, and to Tim and Dave for their time and knowledge, and to our guest instructors for disclosing the many facets of writing and publishing, and to all of the previous winners who shared their own experiences to help all of us prepare to make the most of this opportunity. To Ryan Richmond, who created a beautiful piece of artwork that will inspire people to read my story, and to my fellow winners who've enriched my life with powerful new voices and viewpoints, and who now have real and genuine places in my heart. I'd like to thank my daughter, Molly James, for inspiring my imagination. My daughter, Molly, for inspiring my imagination every time she shares how she sees the world. And to my family and friends for joining me here tonight. And thanks to Richard Thomas and C.C. Finlay, 2 incredible editors who pushed me to shape this story into an award winner. This success happens here by getting words onto the page over and over again. Thanks to every author who takes the time to speak up and banish the shadows and mysticism of publishing to let the light shine through. I'm a better writer for hearing your words, and your voices mean more to me than I can fully express. Finally, a great man I know once stood on this stage and said that sometimes when you go through life, a few things happen that you want to just hang on to them forever. And this is one of them. And standing here right now, I totally agree. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Good evening. Is this wonderful? We had a wonderful, passionate group of illustrators this week in the workshop, and I'm so proud of them. I can see them just doing wonderful things. One of which is Ryan Richmond, comes from Indiana. Always wanted to draw whenever he got the chance. Ryan quickly found a passion for art. Currently working as a freelance concept artist and illustrator on a wide array of projects, Ryan aims for greater opportunities within the film and video game industries. Please congratulate Illustrator of Acquisition, Ryan Richmond.
Wow, this is incredible. Thank you all so much for being here. This entire week has just been a blessing beyond imagine. I've learned so much, I've grown so much as an artist, as a person. I just can't be more thankful for everyone who's been a part of this. I think back to when I was a kid in grade school, middle school, doing doodles in class when I probably should have been paying attention to my teachers. Back to the times when I would spend late nights just working away on a project that I was just really passionate about and probably wouldn't show to anyone. All of the copious amounts of caffeine I've consumed over the years to keep me going. It's just been a whirlwind, and I'm just so thankful to be here. I never thought this is where I would end up, but I'm grateful for that and excited for the future. I just want to start by thanking so many people for this opportunity who've brought me here. I wouldn't be here without them. So I'd just like to start with Mr. Hubbard and everyone here at Author Services and Galaxy Press. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. They're just all so kind and gracious, and I'm just very thankful for that. Thank you to the judges and instructors who have been with us all week, guiding us, mentoring us, giving us so much inspiration, just offering up their time for us. Thank you guys all so much. Thank you to my friends and family and my parents for just always being beside me throughout everything I've been through, just always being supportive of my work and encouraging me. So thank you guys. Thank you to my wife, Hannah. She's my best friend, my world. I'm just so grateful for her support, for always being by my side and encouraging me throughout, the times when I don't feel good about my own work. She's always there, so thank you. Thank you to my high school counselor who told me to be an artist instead of an engineer. I think she made the right choice. And finally, just thank you and congratulations to all of my fellow winners, specifically Jake, who wrote that incredible story that I was honored to read. You're all amazing people, and if I leave here with anything else other than the amazing friendship we've created, I'm just a lucky man. So thank you.
In the woodcutter's deity, not all spirits have the best of intentions, and they must be dealt with. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Nnedi Okorafor and Illustrators of the Future Judge Larry Elmore.
Emeka Walter Dinjos is from Nigeria. He loves singing and songwriting as much as he loves fiction writing. Walter hopes to portray the peculiar beauty of Nigerian cultures through his writing. Walter Dinjos is the author of The Woodcutter's Deity. Walter was not able to attend our event this evening, but he sent us a message from Nigeria.
Hello, everyone. I'm Walter Emeka Dinjos. Because of this contest, I've made some important friends in the past few months. Andrew, Jake, Claire, Tina, David, Sean, Stephen, and of course, Martin. I want to let them know that even though I didn't get to meet them in person this time, they have become a vital part of my writing career, And I hope that somewhere, someday, we would all bump into one another. I thank L. Ron Hubbard, the judges who thought my story mattered enough to win the contest, and of course, everyone else that helped make Writers and Illustrators of the Future a reality. Thank you for unleashing my writing career, and I can't wait to see where this adventurous path takes me.
That video was touching. And you know, he has the same heart as all of us. You know, the artistic heart. Chana Kim was born in 1997 in South Korea. She then immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 8 to explore and enjoy art. Chana Kim is currently attending USC, majoring in animation and digital arts. She aspires to be both an excellent student and a driven filmmaker. Please congratulate illustrator of the Woodcutter's Deity, Chana Kim.
I would just like to start my speech with a big thank you. I cannot express how grateful I am for this contest and everyone's efforts to help us in our career. The past few days here at the workshop has been absolutely wonderful. We all learned so much from the judges and the past winners. They have been a great inspiration, and I'm just excited to advance in my career with the knowledge I've learned in this workshop and this contest. Thank you so much. Of course, everyone was absolutely amazing, and I am so glad that we have the chance to thank them personally on this stage. So first of all, I would love to thank Galaxy Press and Author Services for putting together this contest for all of us to present ourselves to the world. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that we have the chance to just express ourselves, and I will never take the opportunity that you gave us for granted. Thank you so much. I would love to thank the judges for helping us and giving us honest critique for our art. Hearing their stories and their career has been absolutely inspiring. I have learned so much from them, and they were all so kind and helpful. I was really scared of the whole workshop event at first, but they have proved to be the kindest people I've ever met, so thank you so much for that. And I would also like to thank the other artists and the other writer winners I have met in this contest. I have made many friends, and they were extremely helpful and really nice and just overall so supportive. And I would also love to thank my writers, David and Walter. I really hope that Walter could make it up to this contest next year. Both of their stories were so imaginative and full of magic, and it has been a pleasure to illustrate for them. And lastly, I would love to thank my family and friends. They always inspire me. They always are so encouraging and supportive. Without them, I wouldn't even have gone in the path of art. So thank you so much, and a big thank you to everyone. I am so grateful. Thank you so much.
In The Fox, the Wolf, and the Dove, the world needs saving, and the magic of fire is one powerful element called to the fight. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Jody Lynn Nye and Illustrators of the Future Judge Sergei Poyarkov.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here for the first time, and thank you all for the warm welcome. Ville Merelainen hails from Finland. He seeks to capture an atmosphere of tragic and visceral beauty in his writing. His short stories can be found in online journals and an anthology. His novel, Ghost Notes, is available on Amazon. Please congratulate the author of The Fox, the Wolf, and the Dove, Ville Merelainen.
Okay, I had a joke prepared for you all, but I kind of forgot it because of, thank you, Fire Lady, first of all. Yeah, I was practicing my speech the entire time I was sitting there, and honestly, it just fled. So I'm just gonna start thanking people. First of all, I would like to thank my friends Merja, Sarah, and Barbara. I'm just waiting to see if they text me. Nothing, okay. Without them, I would not be here because they kind of discovered me 12 years ago. And ever since then, they have been following me, and they're my biggest fans. They still read everything I write, and they still tell me that I have everything it takes to make it in this field. And because I'm Finnish and we're self-deprecating people, I still don't believe them. So don't anyone tell them that this is mine, because I would have to admit I'm wrong, and that would make them unbearable. I would like to thank my parents who are watching, and I know this because someone just texted me. And I have to say that, thanks mom, thanks dad, hi. And, because without them, I also wouldn't be here for, existential reasons, but also because, stop laughing, I'm trying to keep this short. They're also pretty great people, and they've been a tremendous support over my journey. And, I'm kind of just pushing the envelope at this point and just trying to see how far I can go until they stop supporting me. And, this thing is just really problematic to me. I would like to thank the other winners, who are just an amazing crowd of people. They are super talented, and you will definitely hear of them in the future, because they are really loud. And, yeah, just go ahead, start applauding. Yeah. Right, it just gave me time to gather my thoughts. Among the other winners, I would like to thank my illustrator, David, who drew or painted. I don't know how he did it, but it was great. He created the artwork, and it is amazing. You just saw it up there. And when we were shown these pieces of art for the first time, we were being filmed the entire time, so I can, with confidence, say that some of us burst into tears. And yeah. And others were just laughing and hugging their artists, and it was great. But in my cold country, we are... I'm trying to make myself into a meme. In my cold country, we don't show emotion as openly. So when the photographers came to take our picture, with me and David and the picture, I was actually so moved that in the photo you can almost see me smiling. Calm down, I still have people to do. I would like to thank Tim Powers and David Wolverton, who have been just an amazing power couple. And you know what I mean. Yeah, okay. As well as the other judges, and the previous winners and all the guest speakers. You would not believe the stuff we have learned in 1 week. You have to experience it yourself. And seriously, if there's anyone who considers submitting, like, dude, I'm from Finland. I don't even speak English that well, so, you know, you can do it. It's totally fine. And above all, I would like to thank, well, not above all, and, you know, the first two were pretty cool, but above the rest, I would like to thank everyone at Author Services, as well as Galaxy Press. They have taken just absolutely wonderful care of us this week, and to have a contest like this where just hicks from Finland come into LA and they're just being treated like VIPs, and we're getting all kinds of super cool swag, like you would not believe it. So yeah, thanks to Author Services Inc. for keeping alive L. Ron Hubbard's idea of and spirit of paying it forward. Thanks all, and before I go, no, clap yet, because you're gonna hate me after this, because there's something that I have to do. I'm super sorry for your eardrums. Jake, this is for you. In my cold country, there is only hate. Thank you.
So, David Fernell from San Jose, California, started drawing at an early age, gaining inspiration from comics, anime, video games, and cartoons. David graduated from Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California in 2011, and has since been doing freelance illustration and commissions. Please congratulate illustrator of The Fox, the World, and the Dove, David Fernell.
Those were some impressive pyrotechnics there, so was not expecting that, nor the smoke-breathing dragon over here. So I was hoping that at one point in this ceremony that would happen, so I'm super happy now. And I can go home happily as well. Just a few people I'd like to thank. First of all, Author Services and Galaxy Press for putting this whole event on. It was an incredible experience. All the judges and mentors for taking time to encourage us and take our art to the next level. I kind of wanted to give a shout out to Echo and Lazarus especially, because I feel like they really believed in me this week, and thanks for walking us through that art boot camp. It was intense, and got me going up at 8 in the morning, but I think we got some great stuff out of it, so thank you. I'd like to thank my parents for supporting me and not for forcing me to be a doctor or a lawyer, so that I'm going on the right track. I'd love to thank my wonderful wife, Sarah, through all this. She's been an amazing inspiration, and she's supported me through everything, and she's kept me sane. So I just would love to thank her, and I love you. I'd like to... I'd like to thank my author, my story, Avia. Was awesome to meet, and super funny guy, and stay metal. But your story really inspired me to create the piece of art I did, and I just loved reading it. And I look forward to reading more of your stuff. And finally, I'd like to thank all my fellow illustrator winners. You guys were really great, and it was like each one of you was just like so inspiring, and I think we all deserve to be up here equally. So thank you.
In useless magic, magical powers are passed down the generations. But are they useful or just a novelty? Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Nina Kariki Hoffman and Illustrators of the Future Judge Lazarus Chernik.
Andrew Peary lives in Durham, North Carolina with his wife and their 2 children. He works as a physician at the same hospital where he was born. After decades of reading and watching science fiction and fantasy, he has spent the last 6 years enjoying the challenge of writing his own stories. This is his first speculative fiction publication. Please congratulate author of Useless Magic, Dr. Andrew Perry.
Someone should have warned me how heavy that thing is. So I have a prepared talk, but before I start, I just want to pass on to David Fernall. I talked to your parents. I'm a doctor. It's not a hard choice. You can do both. So. Anyway, let me just start by saying thank you. I have the great fortune of being here tonight because I wrote a story about magic. And I can assure you that all of this whole past week, has been nothing but magic. Everyone at Author Services and Galaxy Press has taken fantastic care of us. And it is the writing career of L. Ron Hubbard that has made all of this possible. So thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the judges and all of the past winners, and a special thanks to Dave Wolverton and Tim Powers. Sometimes with the two of them, it was like mom and dad are fighting, but they're great people and they've really helped us a lot. I want to thank Hannah Alsher, who used her tremendous talent to illustrate my work. I want to thank everyone at my hospital, which has supported me in many ways over the years. I want to thank my mom for decades of support and encouragement. And I also want to say thanks to my lovely children who at the ages of 3 and 5 routinely demonstrate apocalyptic destruction in my home. You know, you all laugh, but you haven't had to take them to the grocery store. And finally, I want to say thanks to my lovely wife, Anne, who inspires me in everything I do and who made it possible for me to be here tonight. So, thank you.
Hannah Alsher is from Denver, Colorado. She has loved art for as long as she can remember. Her inspiration comes from history, reading, music, video games, and film. Hannah is currently attending the Kendall College of Art and Design, where she is working hard in her endless quest to improve her art. She hopes to one day be successful in the film and game industry. Please congratulate the illustrator for Useless Magic, Hannah Alsher.
Ooh, this is so cool, guys. Author Services, Galaxy Press, you guys are amazing. And all the previous winners and the judges who are here, you guys are also amazing. You guys also stuffed our heads with so much information that our brains exploded. Thank you to my friends and family. You guys keep me going. You also tell me to shut up when I say my art sucks. And you're one of my biggest inspirations. And thank you to all my fellow illustrators. You guys rock. Your talent is amazing and it inspires me. Thank you all.
In Adramelech, some devils are as old as dreams and more evil than men can imagine. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge, Mike Resnick.
Hello again. Joni wanted me to do the fire dance, but I told her I'd rather give out an award. Especially this one. Sean Hazlitt lives with his wife and 3 children in the San Francisco Bay Area, where he works as at a cybersecurity company. He has served as an armored cavalry officer at the Army's National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California, where he trained U.S. forces for the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He considers writing as therapy that pays for itself. This tale is his 17th submission to Writers of the Future, proving that stubborn determination and persistence will win out in the end. So please congratulate the author of I can never pronounce it right, Adramelech, Sean Hazlitt.
German writer Johann von Goethe once said, "Censor does much, but encouragement does more. Encouragement after censor is like the sun after a shower." The contest is kind of like this. An old Army officer once gave me the best piece of advice I ever had that I try to keep true to this day, and that's never forget where you came from. In every endeavor that you're involved in, there are people behind you that have helped forge the way, that have picked you up and lent a hand when you're down, that have helped you forge through the darkness and unknown. To that end, I want to thank L. Ron Hubbard for establishing this contest. I'd like to thank Author Services and Galaxy's Press for setting up and doing a tremendous job this week. There's a lot of you behind the scenes that I've never met, but I know that you've been working round the clock to make this event a success. Thank you very much for that. Now, I'd also like to thank the judges for reading all our stories, particularly David Wolverton and Tim Powers, as well as Mike Resnick. You guys were great. I learned a ton, more than you know, from both of you. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank my family for supporting my writing. And at the very end, last but not least, I'd like to thank my wife, Claire, for protecting the world from my early drafts. Thank you very much. This really means a lot to me.
To present this year's published finalists, please welcome Writers of the Future judges David Farland and Dr. Jerry Purnell.
We pick at least one finalist story beyond the 12 winners to include in this annual anthology. This year, 2 were chosen. Many of our published finalists have gone on to have successful writing careers, such as Nnedi Okorafor, Ken Liu, Scott Nicholson, Joe Beverly, Dean Wesley Smith, and the list goes on. As all of the judging is done blind, it wasn't until after the stories were chosen that we discovered that 2 of the authors were in the same writing group, which certainly makes the very first time that that's happened for us. In keeping with this tradition, this year's first published finalist is Molly Elizabeth Atkins. Molly grew up in a small university town in the heart of Texas. She spent many years thinking of writing and plotting stories in her head. Molly finally picked up the pen at the ripe old age of 33. She lives in St. Louis, Missouri, with her ever-patient husband and 2 rambunctious young daughters. This is her first publication. Please congratulate author of Obsidian Spire, Molly Elizabeth Atkins.
When I was a little girl, my dreams of becoming a writer first took flight on the wings of McCaffrey dragons. And here I am, and there's a dragon right there, and it's kind of amazing. So I have some thank yous. First, I want to thank all of the wonderful people at Author Services and Galaxy Press who worked so hard to make all of this happen. Thank you, Dave Wolverton and Tim Powers, and all of the judges and teachers this week who squeezed so much knowledge into this workshop. There is no other contest like this that is solely dedicated to finding and nurturing new authors and illustrators at the very beginnings of our careers. Thank you to L. Ron Hubbard for the vision and the drive to create this contest and see that it continued even after his death. Thank you to the winners, both past and present, for welcoming me into the Writers of the Future family. It is an honor to have my story alongside yours. My heartfelt thanks to my illustrator who could not be here tonight. You captured the vision of my story in a way that is beyond anything I could have imagined. Thank you so much. Thank you to the folks who helped me grow this story and many others, the Writers of the Future forums and the Future Finalist forums, my writers group in St. Louis, the Magnificent Seven. You know who you are. You are all awful people, and I love you. Thank you to my parents. Daddy, thank you for introducing me to Tolkien at such a young age and for your honest but supportive reviews. They're never too honest, even though you sometimes think that. Ginny, thank you for that copy of A Wrinkle in Time. It still sits on my bookshelf. Steve, thank you for your unwavering and unconditional support. You are a rock to me. And Mom, I know science fiction and fantasy is really, really not your thing, but you have never, ever, ever poo-pooed my dreams, ever. You've always supported me. I love you. Thank you. To my daughters, Gabby and Katie, who are here tonight, I know it can be really hard to understand why Mommy needs her writing time, but thank you for giving me the space to chase my own dream. It means so much. And you're on the screen. And last, to my husband, Juan. Gracias por tu amor y tu apoyo. Gracias por tu complicidad con todos mis sueños. Te agradezco por nunca dejarme renunciar a ellos. And happy 14th anniversary. Thank you.
I want to make sure you know I still know where my towel is. And when I heard there were going to be dragons, I brought my own so he could meet his cousins. David van Almen began writing at age 13. And in his senior year of high school, a short story he wrote to fulfill an assignment led to accusations of plagiarism. He told me that story, but fortunately, he took it as a compliment. That's when he realized his writing might be better than he'd previously given himself credit for. He lives in his hometown of St. Louis with his wife Ann and their children, Lucas and Eva, who write some pretty darn good fantasy stories of their own. Please congratulate author of The Magnificent Beyond, David von Allman.
All the winners came in here yesterday to do a run-through, and I stood up on this stage, and I said, oh man, I don't know if I can talk in front of 1,200 people. And Dave Farland so helpfully said, oh no, you're forgetting about the tens of millions watching live on the internet. So thanks, that helps a lot. If you had told me a year ago I'd be up here tonight, I would not have believed you. And I need to thank everyone who helped me get here tonight. Team Abrasive, the members of my writing group back home, everyone at Codex, the cast of the Writing Excuses podcast, Kevin J. Anderson and everyone at Superstars Writing Seminars, and David Farland for his amazing workshops. I'd also like to thank Mr. Hubbard for generously creating this award. All the judges who gave us their time this week, they were absolutely wonderful. What the other writers have said is true. You have to really guard your writing time. So for them to come out and spend so much time with us was just fantastic. Tim Powers and Dave Farland especially, they were here all week, but there were so many others, the past winners. My fellow winners, it was a delight to meet the illustrators. They were all fantastic, but as the writers, of course, I got to spend the most time with, and they're just a zany group of people. I mean, just a cast of characters. There's a story in here somewhere. Just with those 12 other people, there's a story there. Everyone at ASI and Galaxy Press who works so hard, I met dozens of them, and they never failed to have a smile on their face and be so helpful. It was fantastic. They worked so hard to make this amazing week happen for us. All of us here are inspired by the greats of science fiction and fantasy, many of whom are Writers of the Future judges here with us tonight. I'm especially fortunate that I have friends who are a major inspiration to me, and I have to thank them as well. Scott, who scraped up his last penny to write, produce, direct, and edit a feature-length film. Dan, whose battle with cancer led to him writing a humorous novel that has helped countless others keep their spirits high as they battle the disease. Sam, who made a video game in his basement that sold hundreds of thousands of copies. And not least of all, my friends Bill and Carl and the guys in their band who played on MTV and stages around the world. These friends made me believe that success was possible because they're people I actually knew who went out there and did it and didn't let anything stand in their way. They didn't let themselves be stopped by self-doubt, a lack of formal training, constant rejection, Morlocks stealing their time machines, the destruction of their last Horcrux, accidentally angering the HAL 9000, Cyclos, Rune Lords, Sith Lords, White Walkers, Sandworms, Steel Inquisitors, aliens with acid for blood, vampires who sparkle, or even Vogons reciting poetry. Yeah. Good on them. It's impressive. And finally, I'd like to thank my family for giving me love and support in everything I do. My parents, my siblings, and especially my wife, Ann, who gave me the two most precious things I have in this world, my son, Lucas, and my daughter, Eva, both of whom probably fell asleep tonight with a pen in their hands in the middle of writing and drawing and creating worlds beyond my imagination. I look forward to returning here in 20 years to see them honored as winners in Writers and Illustrators of the Future, Volume 53. Thank you all so, so much.
Before we continue to the Grand Prize Gold Awards, please welcome the president of Galaxy Press, John Goodwin, for the official release of the Writers of the Future Anthology, Volume 33.
As the contests grow and we continue to accumulate outstanding results from our winners going on to professional careers, it is time for these wonderful winners to finally pass the threshold from amateur to professionally published authors. So with that, I am proud to officially release L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 33.
When a reader opens up the Writers of the Future book, you never know what it's going to be, but it's all like selected as the best stuff. And you might get science fiction, you might get fantasy, you might get a humorous, gimmicky surprise story, you might get a really edgy, intense, horrific, supernatural suspense story.
We want to see somebody who really has paid attention to fine prose quality and to the nuances of characterization.
Which, of course, makes them transcend the mere categorization you might assign to them, like science fiction, fantasy, and makes them actually very valuable pieces of fiction altogether.
Every year it gets harder and harder to judge because there's so much good stuff coming in.
Quality keeps going up.
This is the best place to go for a new writer trying to break in.
You guys have just turned out a plethora of really, really fine writers.
These are the writers of the future.
It's not just the stories in Writers of the Future. We also have absolutely gorgeous artwork.
Each story is paired with an illustration that is done by one of the illustrators of the future winners.
Something you will not find in any other anthology.
It's a showcase of illustrators and writers right at the beginning of their career, when artists are just bundles of raw talent and excitement.
You can come and see the best of the best culled for you, curated and selected in a single volume every year.
Not often you get a volume of new fiction that's so strong and so imaginative and so different as with Writers of the Future.
There's really only one reason to pick up Writers of the Future, and that's because the stories are wonderful.
The cover art for the annual anthology is created by Illustrators of the Future judge Larry Elmore, known for his dragon illustrations for Dungeons & Dragons. His art prompted our dragon-themed event and even inspired a story written by Todd McCaffrey called The Dragon Killer's Daughter, included in the anthology. We also included 2 bonus stories, an urban fantasy entitled Gator by Robert J. Sawyer, and a paranormal fantasy called The Devil's Rescue by L. Ron Hubbard. The anthology, of course, contains all the prize-winning stories and illustrations. These are all beautifully presented in a large trade paperback format to display the gorgeous artwork in full detail. It is edited by Dave Farland, coordinating judge for the contest and himself a past grand prize winner. And under the principle of guidance, we also have insightful essays on the craft of writing and illustration, such as 1,000 or So Words of Wisdom by the late Anne McCaffrey, How to Become an Illustrator by Larry Elmore, Notes on Art Direction by contest judge Bob Eggleton, and Search for Research by L. Ron Hubbard. And we've received a review from the premier magazine for the publishing industry, Publishers Weekly. Given that the 14 new writers represented in this anthology are all winners of the contest L. Ron Hubbard founded in 1983, it's not surprising that their contributions are of consistently high quality. Fans of classic science fiction will find much to appreciate here. Now, consider for a moment the contest judges and how they came to select these stories and illustrations. You would think they have read it all, seen it all, and written it all. The astonishing truth is that they haven't, because there is no limit to the universe of ideas and stories to be told. And those new ideas and stories keep coming in to the contest. And we keep bringing them to you. So, if you want to read something different, something original, something fresh, and if you want to support these terrific new writers and artists, well, get your own copies tonight. And don't forget to congratulate the winners as you get their first autographs. And for those of you watching live, the book is releasing this week in bookstores everywhere in the United States. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, independent bookstores, and Amazon.com. Now, for the crowning moment of our annual awards event, the presentation of the Gold Awards. Please welcome back Ms. Joni Labaki.
It's been a great joy and a pleasure tonight to present to you our newest published winners of Writers and Illustrators of the Future. Over the course of the past year, our judges have had the opportunity to sift through thousands of entries in order to discover these very special prize-winning writers and illustrators. And now we have gathered to acknowledge our very highest honors: the Golden Brush Award for our grand prize-winning illustrator, and the Golden Pen Award for short fiction. Besides their beautiful trophies, their publication in the anthology, and the master-level workshops that they've attended, each of our grand prize winners of a bonus prize of $5,000. Yeah. Now, to present the L. Ron Hubbard Illustrators of the Future Grand Prize Golden Brush Award, please welcome Illustrators of the Future Coordinating Judge Echo Chernick and Miss Universe India title winner actress Sheena Chauhan.
Each one of our artists that you have met this night is gifted well beyond the norm. They see things in their own special ways, and they've often had to struggle for years to develop their rare talents. We admire and applaud them for this. However, each year we struggle to find one special winner from this remarkable selection of illustrators, someone to receive our highest honor along with our hopes and well wishes for the future.
May we have the envelope, please? Michael McCara.
This is the best day in my life, you know. I know that artists and writers can change the world. This is why I'm glad that we are shaping future together. Thank you for everything. This is a very important day to me and probably the best week in my life. If this is my American dream, I don't want to wake up. Thank you.
To present the Writers of the Future Golden Pen Award, please welcome Writers of the Future Coordinating Judge David Farland and Erica Christensen.
30 years ago, it was my pleasure to be among the prize winners in Volume 3. At the time, I considered it presumptuous to even hope that I might someday win the grand prize trophy or stand here or stand among the other luminaries as contest judge. I suspect that many of these new writers that we have this year and our artists will also someday have a great influence on the field. Each year, I get to read thousands of stories searching for that special one, the one that will be our grand prize winner. It's kind of like panning for gold in a freezing Alaskan river, never knowing when you might find something that flashes in the pan. With each winner in this audience, I have indeed hit gold. These powerful new writers exemplify the very best in the world, as you shall soon see. When L. Ron Hubbard initiated this contest, he wanted to be sure that he awarded enough money so that the artists who won could use it to further their careers. The Golden Pin Award will help boost the career of one of our exceptional new writers.
May I have the envelope, please? Always embarrassing when you show up in the same outfit as somebody else at the party. The Writers of the Future winner of the Golden Pen Award and the grand prize check for $5,000 goes to the writer of the story. Now, which one is it, though? Write a grand prize, write a grand prize. Okay, good. We're going to open both of them.
We'll find out.
Okay. Acquisition by Jake Marley.
I thought I got my nerves out of the way early. Wow! All right.
I gotta say something. 4 years ago, Jake came up to Joni after the awards ceremony and said, "Someday I'm going to win this contest. Mark that." Here he is.
Well, thank you. This is an incredible honor. Thanks to L. Ron Hubbard and Author Services and Galaxy Press for this outstanding award. Thanks to Jamie and Molly, who let me take the time to go and write. That's the one great secret I've learned this exciting and amazing week. Read, write, finish what you write. Rewrite it beautifully, and then submit it. Submit over and over again. Persistence is invaluable. If you are a beginning writer, send your stories to this contest. It's unparalleled. Next time it could be you standing right here. And I promise you, it's always worth a shot, so thank you. Thank you.
This finalizes the 2017 L. Ron Hubbard Achievement Awards and another great year of finding fantastic new talent. As for our final word to dreamers and dragons everywhere, and especially to our winners tonight, remember that an individual in life is as alert and awake and happy as he has dreams and goals. Please join us now for the Ebell Club reception and desserts to honor tonight's winners and our venerable judges. And in the spirit of J.R.R. Tolkien, it simply isn't an adventure worth telling if there aren't any dragons. So, take great delight in the dragons and dragon art in the Ebell Club rooms, and most importantly, do not miss out on your chance to ask our winners for their very first autographs as published professionals. From the executives and staff of Author Services and Galaxy Press, congratulations to all the winners, and thank you all for being with us tonight. Enjoy the rest of the evening.